Hey, it's been a while since I made a video for the Osprey Crafts page, but I wanted to make a couple this spring. I've done a little bit of work on my boat this spring and last fall, and today I want to talk about one of the most frequently asked questions I get here, and that is, how the heck can you put a fish finder permanently on these boats? It's tough on a Scott Canoe or a Maine freighter. It's tough because of the shape of the transom and the hull. The hull is so thin that you really don't want to be screwing anything through the hull. And but it'd be nice to have something that you could use under full power. Now, so this is what I've got right now. I'm going to make some changes here, but I've got this nice little ammo box. And inside my ammo box, I have my Garmin, and I have a small battery from a tractor, like a tractor or lawnmower battery. And so this is the 53 Downview Garmin. It's a mid-range priced fish finder, but it's pretty good. It's better than what I used to have, you know, the $100 special. And so right now I have this transducer and this aftermarket mount that I just put over the gunnel. I put a little piece of wood, a little spacer in here to keep it steady. And I put it on and off, and that works great, except for when you're under full power. Of course, it sprays and it twists up, and it's not great. So, like everybody else, I would like to have something that I can permanently mount on here to use full power or when I'm trolling. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So I went out and I bought one of these from Garmin. It's an extra transducer. It shoots through the hull. So I'm going to mount this under my seat, and this thing costs, let's see, I got this in 2022, this past winter, and it was around 180 bucks for this. So of course the most important thing to remember when you buy something like this, it's expensive and it's for your boat, you want to order this like a week before Mother's Day, and she'll never ask any questions. Yeah, all right, so here we go. Okay, so here's some of the stuff that comes with the transducer. You've got these little cups here at different angles, and I'll just get down so you can see this. There's different cups depending on the dead rise of your boat. We'll talk a little bit about that, but you're only going to use one of these. And then you've got an O-ring here, and then the transducer, which comes in some styrofoam, and that's about it. It looks like a pretty simple project. So I went out. One of the things you're going to need to buy is some antifreeze, some RV antifreeze, and some adhesive, some marine adhesive. So I've used 3M 5200 in the past, so that's what I'm going to use today. This is the black, so it'll blend in with those little cups here, and we'll get to it. Okay, so I'm going to mount my transducer underneath my seat. So this is the full look of the Scott Canoe. This is an older Scott Canoe. This is 20 years old, and I've cut out the bottom of my seat, and I usually store my battery under there, my marine battery. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount my transducer right over here, up a little bit under the seat, out of the way, so I can still get my battery in over here on this side. Okay, so one of the things you have to be able to determine is the dead rise in your boat. And the dead rise is going to be basically the angle of the boat towards the center line where your transducer is going to be. And this one is almost flat. You can see there's the center of the boat right there. And it's going to be just a little bit to the left of that. And so I've got an app on my phone. I can't really show you while I'm recording here, but I basically put the angle measurer on the phone app and put it on that section of the boat, and it will tell me what it is. I'll try to get a screenshot of that. Okay, so I measured the dead rise on my Scott Canoe, and it looks like it's about 4%, or 4 degrees rather, right where I'm going to mount it. So based on the instructions, I'm going to take this tank right here, which is for the range of between 4 and 8 degrees, and we're going to mount that underneath the seat. Okay, so can see down in here, I've sanded it, taken away some of the old paint and flattened it out. You can see this is of course the Scott Canoes are fiberglass, so they're not real smooth. You can see, in fact, over here, you can see some of these little drips and streaks. So I flattened them out with some 120 and then rubbed some 220 grit over it, swept it all out, cleaned it up, and now we're getting ready to put the tank in. Okay, I've got my nice little band of adhesive around it, all the way around. I'm going to smooth that out a little bit right there. I got a little spot. Make sure I get good coverage. All right, that should be good. We'll put it right in the boat. Okay, got that right in there. Squeezing it down. You can see there's an arrow right here. That is supposed to point to your center line of your boat right here. And one thing you want to be careful of, the instructions say make sure there's no metal or any pockets, air voids underneath your underneath where your transducer is going to be. So in these Scott Canoes, these older ones anyway, there are some like metal poles, you know, almost they almost look like tent poles. They're used to support the boat. And so there's one here, and you can see there's one over here, but it stops. This one stops right here before the seat. I actually hit that with a little metal detector I had to make sure it was clean, but it's a good spot right there. It'll be out of the way, and so we're going to let that set up. I think we're going to let that set for a couple days, and then we'll come back, see how it works. Okay, so we're getting ready to install the transducer. The tank has sealed up nicely on the bottom of the boat, and so I'm just pulling out the transducer, and I notice this is an 8-pin, and my Garmin 53DV is a 4-pin. So before I got ready to curse out the folks at Garmin tech support, I went back through my emails to make sure, see when I had ordered this, and then I realized tech support had told me that I needed to get an 8-pin to 4-pin connector, which I had ordered months ago and forgot about. That's what happens when you get old. So now I'm going to, the connector came with this little coupler here and an O-ring. So I'm going to put that together, and then we're going to fill up the tank and try this thing out probably tomorrow morning, I hope. Okay, I got the transducer all set up. I got the chicken nuggets in the oven, and now I'm going to put my antifreeze in the tank. We'll see if it leaks. I'm going to fill it right up to the top. I know it's going to spill out once I put that transducer in there, but that's all right. There's no pets around. Okay, full right to the rim. And then I'm going to put the O-ring on, and we'll put the transducer in. All right, hold on. Okay, here's my transducer. I've got this arrow right here is going to line up with that arrow right there pointing at, I can't quite reach it with my other hand. I'll get down in there. It's the arrow right there pointing at the keel. And they're going to line up. I'm going to screw them together, and hopefully I can set this camera up so you can see it. All right, let's get to it. All right, I'm going to have to hop up in that boat to screw the rest, but you get the idea. You don't need to see me put all those together. And I forgot to put the O-ring on. Haha. Yeah, great. So we're going to put that on, and then we will refill that tank up. Set that right down in that little groove right there. Make sure it's nice and tight. Looks good. Looks good. All right, we're going to refill that tank and then do it all over again. Okay, we're going to take it for a little test run today. Show you some video of me out on the lake on my way to go do some drop shotting for some lake trout. You'll be able to see me getting up to speed. You'll be able to see the speed on the fish finder, and you'll be able to see how it works with some fish and the contour of the bottom. So I'm putting this video together. It's actually January. I used this setup all summer. It was great. It worked excellent. I highly recommend this if you want to have a permanent setup in your Scott Canoe for your fish finder. I think all the major fish finders have this option. I did contact Garmin, as I said in my video, and I would recommend that you talk to the tech support at whatever company you have your fish finder with, just to make sure you get all the parts that are necessary and you get the right ones. I actually ordered mine off Amazon after talking with them, but I could have ordered it right from the company. The other thing, I did take it apart this winter and took the transducer in the house. I just didn't want to risk leaving it out all winter in the elements. I live in Maine, so it gets down below freezing, below zero quite a bit, and I just didn't want to risk it. So I took it out. And I did put a Ziploc over the tank that was, of course, permanently mounted in the boat, and a Ziploc over the tank with a rubber band just to keep all the debris out. And I'll just refill it up with antifreeze in the spring, and we'll be right back at it. So I hope this helps. It's a great way to go. Highly recommended.